Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode in our WCW What If series in TEW 2020. This is, of course, the recap of 1996 in game. I have to see how things played out. It's going to be some of the year end awards and whatnot are going to be slightly disjointed because of the fact that it's not going to have the full year in there to judge those, but it'll still provide us with a pretty good, mostly accurate look at the different award winners of that. So we're going to dive into it. Just highlighting Starcade here. Starcade, I didn't go over it at the end of the Starcade episode, but we did have a 5.77 buy rate on pay-per-view. A total of just under 4 million viewers for the show. Because we did have some TV in there. Some of the places outside of America were on TV deals instead of pay-per-view deals because we couldn't get a pay-per-view deal at the time. But I'll still take it. Just under 4 million people watching Starcade 1996, so I'll take that for sure. I did find out that Steven Regal, it is what I thought it was. That it's one of those, he will work through the pain injuries, and that it's going to take a year and a week to fully recover. So for all of 1997, Steven Regal's in-ring performances are going to be hurt because of it, which really sucks because, spoilers, I was planning on pushing him pretty strongly in 1987. I mean, I still can. I'm just going to have to be very careful with how much in-ring work he does, because no matter what, his matches in the ring are going to be hampered by his performance. So I'm not going to be able to put him in, high quality matches because his in-ring performance is going to always be hurt by it. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I'll try to do my best to work around that and go from there. So we're going to start off with the year-end awards. We're going to go from the bottom up. Referee of the year went to Jeff Kay, working in CWA. He's also the booker there. That's kind of weird. He's a 96 rating for his referee skill though, so that's probably why he did so well. But he was referee of the year. Color commentator of the year went to Jerry the King Lawler, who's working in WWF right now. He's also the booker still of USWA. His color commentary skill is a 91, so it's kind of easy to see why he's the color commentator of the year. Announcer of the year went to good old JR, Boom Boom. So none of our announcers won the awards of the year. Speaking of Mr. Boom Boom, JR, he actually is potentially re-signing with WWF. For a second, I looked at it and was like, it'd be kind of interesting to bring him back to WCW. But then I got to think about it. I'm like, I'd rather not completely morph this into I'd rather not grab everybody from WWF. And plus, I'm okay with Shivani, Heenan, and Tenay at the moment. I feel like they're doing a pretty good job for us. Manager of the year was Billy Graham. Billy Graham was actually the manager of the year. He's working in USWA and BCW. He's got very good stats, so it kind of makes sense that he's manager of the year. I don't know who he's managing. That's not going to tell me. But he's managing people, I guess. So good for him as the manager of the year. Independent Wrestler of the Year goes to Dean Malenko. By God, Dean Malenko. So the only reason why he won Independent Wrestler of the Year is because I don't have him. Oops, I was looking at something there. It's because I don't have him under an official. I didn't have him under official written contract until just recently. So I think he worked some stuff outside of. Yeah, he was working some stuff outside of WCW at the time. He is now officially under an exclusive written deal with us, so he won't be doing this ECWA and USWA stuff anymore. But he's been working there and doing that stuff, and then heading forward he'll be exclusive to us, so he won't be able to do it then. But he won the Independent Wrestler of the Year award, so good for him there. Female Wrestler of the Year goes to Kyoki Inouye. She is currently the CMLL Women's World Champion. So there is that. Very good in-ring stats. Popularity, got Mexico. That's not too bad, honestly. Match rating or match-wise, she had 22 matches and won all of them. She's won every single match she had so far in this shortened version of this version of the save. 22-0, which also, by the way, that's 22 matches in 2 months' time. That's kind of crazy. But she had an average rating of 68, high of 72, lowest of 64, so that's not too bad. Not too bad for her there. She is the female wrestler of the year in 1996. Veteran Wrestler of the Year went to Jerry Lawler for some reason. Jerry Lawler winning 2 different awards here in 1996. That's a very scary thought. He had an average rating of 81, so, I mean, he's been involved in some really good matches here. Highest rating was a 96 when he won by disqualification over our television champion, Dean Malenko, in USWA. Lowest rating was a 68. He's 9-6 during the time, so there's that. But, you know, good for him, I guess. He's being featured as kind of basically a main eventer there in WWF right now and having success with it, so all the more power to him. So he's the Veteran Wrestler of the Year. Young Wrestler of the Year goes to Liz Mark Jr., working in CMLL exclusively. Average rating of 74 for his matches. He's 13-12 so far. Not too bad there. Not too bad there for him, honestly. Pretty good stuff there. Show of the Year goes to Survivor Series 1996. Survivor Series. So we did get beat out by... That's not what I meant to click. We did get beat out by WWF in at least one award, as their Survivor Series 1996 show got an 86 rating overall. Was main evented by The Undertaker defeating Owen Hart to retain the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Had a 4.42 pay-per-view buy rate, so it just edged out our Starrcade, I believe. But, you know, same show rating. We had more pay-per-view buys and all that stuff, but it must have just been just better, so. We lost that one to WWF, but that's all right. We'll come back from it. Match of the Year came from In Your House, where Owen Hart and Shawn Michaels defeated Scott Hall and Yokozuna, which I believe that got like a 99 rating, so not gonna beat that. Not gonna beat that one at all. Kind of expected that. Team of the Year is Team Iron, Hayabusa and Mitsuhiro. All right, so they were tag team of the year. Had a lot of matches featuring Terry Funk in them, but they were doing a thing over there. Average rating of 66, 5-6 for their record, so that's not a great record, but apparently it was good enough in the eyes of the game to give them the victory. Company of the Year, WCW. Hell yeah. Winning the Company of the Year award for the first time. We did not win it in 1995, so this is the first time we have won the Company of the Year award. Very excited about that. We're able to really boost WCW up rating-wise and just consistently having great show upon great show at this point. And I'll definitely take that. I'll take that victory. The Wrestler of the Year. Now, I've already been spoiled to this, and admittedly, a little surprising. Wrestler of the Year goes to Rey Mysterio Jr. Rey Mysterio Jr., working in CMLL right now, has just been absolutely killing it there. First off, I mean, he's 12-19, so that's not great. But his average rating has been 84 for his matches. 91 highest, 75 lowest, so he's just been absolutely killing it there. Doing really great work there in CMLL. Having 31 matches in a 2-month period there. On top of everything else, he's got, popularity-wise, as you see there, he's got really good popularity. Especially in Mexico, he's got really great popularity. America, he's got pretty good popularity there as well. Now, the funny thing is, As we look at his skills really quick, you see really good skills there. The funniest part is that his contract is actually up. Um, he's actually up for a potential extension with CMLL. The problem is, and I have to just think about it. I'm not spoiling things either way. I'm still on the fence about it as of recording this video. Because the problem with trying to bring him in is that, now this isn't a problem. I could easily offer him $43,000 a month for 3 years or whatever. I could easily do something like that. Maybe bump that up a little bit. The problem is the contract I'm going up against. Now remember, you saw that his popularity is mid-50s in America, and then 85 in Mexico. So of course, if I go to try to re-sign him, and I'm competing against the rival offer, is against CMLL, who is offering him $150,000 a month. And I'm sorry, Rey Mysterio is great, but not $150,000 a month worth, especially when he only has like mid-50 popularity in the US. Obviously, I know in the future he will be a big star, and he's only 22 at this point. But from a business standpoint, I can't do a contract bigger than that right there. Actually, even bigger than that right there, because CML will probably adjust their contract offer. I can't do a contract offer way bigger than this one right here and make it justifiable getting my money's worth out of it at the moment. The good news is he is 22 years old. So, and the contract that they're offering him is only for 2 years. So in 2 years' time, 1999, when he is 24 years old, I could try going for him then, and that would be a pretty good thing as well. So I may end up doing that. I think for now we're going to pass on Rey Mysterio Jr., but I'm still debating about it. I'm still going up and I'm kind of going back and forth about it. More than likely, I'm probably going to not trying to grab him at the moment. See what his career would be like in CMLL for a couple more years. And maybe he would maybe would be at a point at the start of 1989 in the save where it would be worth trying to get him in at that point. So we have other people that I'm having a little bit more focus on that I can kind of build the eventual cruiserweight division around and go from there. So Rey Mysterio Jr. going to continue working down in Mexico and go from there. But he is the Wrestler of the Year this year, so that's very cool for him. Company awards wise, we're still second to WWF. We looked at this recently that WWF we're beating them in the United States, but they have more popularity than us around the world. We're beating them in Canada, beating them in Mexico, but they're beating us in the British Isles by a fair amount. And they're also beating us in Europe by a good amount, and Oceania and all that. So until we can get some of those regions a little bit more caught up, we're still gonna be number 2, but I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Looking at the rest of it though, right now All Japan is 3rd, New Japan is 4th, CMLL is 5th, so good stuff there from them. AAA, USWA, and FMW round up the top 8 there. ECW is still down in 13th. They haven't really moved much at all in this. Power 500, we'll look at that really quick. So Rey Mysterio Jr. is number 1 in the Power 500 rankings. Kind of makes sense. Like I said, he's working all this stuff down in CMLL, and that's really helping him out with that. Dr. Wagner Jr. is 2nd in this. He's been doing a fair amount of stuff there. Jerry Lawler is 3rd, which is a very scary thought, honestly, but that's just the way the TEW works. TEW has ranked Jerry Lawler as the 3rd best wrestler in the world at this time. Very scary thought. Atlantis 4th. Negro Casas is 5th. You have to go all the way down here to 11th to get to any WCW star where you have Dean Malenko at. The problem we're going to have with this right now is that we're not going to have a lot of people at the top for us because of the fact that we don't book them in 8,000 matches at a time. But B, also just the fact that um, that they don't that they're even some of our bigger stars, they're not having enough match. They didn't have enough matches over the 12 months because of the fact that the save got broken off like it did. Um, and we'll even do this really quick just to see, because you're probably going to notice a lot of people who aren't on here. Yeah, like you're seeing basically anybody who's working outside of the company is on here because they would have had enough matches during that time. So it's not going to be a fully great way to look at the rankings, unfortunately. I thought about going through, because I've been slowly simming through on my laptop the thing, because I'm still trying to figure out when we're going to get hit with that penalty for the broadcasting contract. And so I thought about kind of simming to the end of the year in that and seeing what the game there thinks our Power 500 would be, and kind of going from there. But I just haven't had a chance to do that yet, so not going to be a lot of success there with the Power 500. And also, the kind of the booking style that I have too. I'm not going to be featuring the same. I'm not going to do what WWF is doing in this or whatever, where they're having Jerry Lawler wrestling 4 or 5 times a month kind of thing. Like a lot of my people, especially my top stars, are only wrestling. I mean, except for the build to Starrcade, a lot of them usually only wrestle maybe 1 or 2 matches on Nitro before they have the big pay-per-view match. So it's gonna be a little bit harder to compete all the time with the Power 500, how they have it set up in the game, where it's the Power 500 the game is based off of people wrestling every single week or multiple times a week, as you saw with some of the other ones. But it's still pretty good there. We'll look at the popularity wise. Whole world, Hulk Hogan is still number 1. He's in New Japan doing his thing. Our new WCW World Heavyweight Champion, which, spoiler, if you didn't watch Starrcade last night, you should probably watch that. But our new WCW World Heavyweight Champion, Bret Hart, is number 2. Average popularity 77 across the world, so that's a really good thing to see. Randy Savage is 3rd. Flair's 5th. Pillman is 8th. We definitely have built him up a fair amount. Pretty sure he was a lot lower at the end of 95. So it's good to see that he's been built up so high like he is. Steve Austin, still in the top 10. Pretty sure he was up there before. Sting and Vader. Sting was up that high, maybe even a little bit higher before, but Vader I don't think was that high, so we built him up some. Same with Steven Regal, Dustin Rhodes, Paul White. I mean, if you want to look at it, like, this is the top 100 popular active workers. If you want to look at this, like, just off of WCW itself, a lot of our crew is from WCW, or a lot of these people are from WCW, especially compared to, like, we'll flip that around and look at WWF, who have, still have a lot, but not as much. Like, theirs aren't scrolling that much. So we have more popular competitors than they do at this point, which is obviously a good thing, because it means that we're building up our popularity with our workers more overall versus just, a few people that we have at the top, and going from there. So yeah, pretty good stuff there. Battles wise, we just had our last area battle. I thought about showing this. I think I'm heading forward in 97. I'm probably going to keep showing this, even though it's not going to be as big of a, it's probably going to be kind of consistent with what you're seeing here, but I think at the end of, like, the first Nitro of every month, I'll show this too. But we won the December 1996 battle against WWF. We scored a 93. They had an 86, so they lost half a popularity point in all of their American regions. And we're the only one, the USA. This battle right here is the only area battle happening. Regional battle wise, I'm not sure why the regional battles aren't working, but apparently there's no regional battle worth of stuff right now. So yeah, there's that. Kind of run down a little bit of stuff here really quick, because I don't always highlight this stuff throughout the show itself, so you guys can kind of see where people are at right now. Looking at some major star wise, we have a fair amount of major stars, honestly, right now. Bam Bam Bigelow, who's currently in rehab right now, wrote him off. We have Booker T, who's up there as a major star right now. Bret Hart, of course. Brian Pillman, Cactus Jack, Diamond Dallas Page, Dustin Rhodes, Eddie Guerrero, Randy Savage, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Steve Austin, Steven Regal, who we've built up pretty well, Sting, The Giant, and Vader. All major stars right now, which is really cool. Definitely good to have that many major stars in your company, because then, you can plug any of them into a match and get a pretty good match rating out of them. That's why we're continuously having great nitros at this point, is because we have so many mega stars right now, or major stars, that is. Star wise, at that level, a little bit fewer amount, but we have Barry Windham, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Gene Okerlund, Meng, Paul Levesque, Sean Waltman, and Ted DiBiase. We go to look at well-knowns. We have Arn Anderson, who's still around, Bobby Heenan, Chris Jericho, Dusty Rhodes, Johnny B. Bad, Marcus Bagwell, Ron Simmons, Stevie Ray, and the Taskmaster, who's just a road agent at this point for us. Recognizable wise, we've gotten some people built up there. Jerry Lynn, I keep beating the same drum about this, but Jerry Lynn is consistently getting up there popularity wise now. You can see the growth just over the last couple months here as well. He's getting up there. He's eventually going to, my goal for him is eventually get to at least well-known status. We'll kind of see how that plays out, but I mean, he's already doing, 70, he's already performing pretty well in the ring. I mean, he had the 70 rating in the match at Starrcade, so there's that. As you see some of the other people there that are recognizable status in our company. And then, of course, we have the unimportant, which some of these, first off, a lot of them are our women's division, just because they just don't have the popularity in America at this point. But I mean, they're ones that we're trying to get built up some a little bit. But a lot of other people here are like potential, like future pretty good names for us. Lance Storm will probably be doing something with as time goes on, more than just him being Jericho's friend at this point. Brad Armstrong, once we start establishing the cruiserweight division, we'll be kind of using him in that a little bit. Or light heavyweight division, I guess. I haven't fully decided if it's going to be cruiserweight or light heavyweight officially. Rocky Maivia, of course, obviously going to be a big star for us in the future. Sean Morley, Sexton Hardcastle, some of these other people. They're kind of a lot younger talents that we just haven't had that push for yet. Megumi Kudo, we'll take a quick look at her. Her popularity's jumped up about 7 points since the tournament happened, so that's a good thing. Well, the tournament and then her winning the championship, so that's a good thing for her. Get her a little bit more popularity so that way she can start having more success when it comes to being a star here in WCW. So yeah, there's that. And not really sure what else to go over. Obviously, the definitely looking forward to 1997 and the game itself for sure. We can take a quick look at creative, because I don't always go over that too often. Top 5 franchise players right now. Brian Pillman is number 1, which is why you're seeing a lot more out of him when it comes to the Horsemen than anybody else, because he's right now, in theory, in the game over, he's the number 1 wrestler in WCW. So I'm trying to really get that push going with him. Sting still number 2. He's still the franchise player, the face of the company, all that kind of stuff. Despite the fact that he's declining physically, so I don't know how much longer we're going to have him before he's going to be kind of rough in-ring performer at that point. Bret Hart, of course, new WCW World Heavyweight Champion. He's number 3. Randy Savage is 4th, and Ric Flair is 5th. Next big things right now, Paul Levesque is the number 1 next big thing. Has potential to be a major player somewhere down the line. You have to see how that plays out. I mean, he is a member of the New World Order now, but unlike real life, where he had, where he quote unquote slept his way to the top, he's not going to have that opportunity here. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Rocky Maivia, of course, number 2 there. Jericho, number 3. Rob Van Dam, number 4, which, again, as I mentioned before, once I get the cruiserweight or light heavyweight, whatever division going, he'll probably be not a huge star of it, but he'll probably be a little bit more featured in that as well. And then Sexton Hardcastle, of course, is 5th. I still haven't decided whether I'm going to change his name yet or not. I'm not going to change it to Edge, that's for sure. But I might change his name from Sexton Hardcastle just because it's kind of a weird one to have. But we'll see how that plays out. Hot prospects, Maivia, Jericho. Chris Kanyon is still a hot prospect for us. Alex Wright is still there. I haven't given up on Alex Wright. I just got to find the right stories for him. I haven't given up on him, though. As you saw there on Nitro last week, he's entering a little bit of a feud with Marcus Bagwell from the Four Horsemen, so we'll have to see how that plays out for him. But yeah, I want to do more with him. I just, so many other people, that's kind of a crowded thing. But the good news is he's only 21, so really I could just keep slow building him and turn him into a future star as time goes on. And of course Terry Richards as well. Talk, kind of who you expect at the top there for people who have really great speaking skills. Showstoppers, also who you expect there. Same with ring generals, who do you expect there? Who's hot right now? Cactus Jack is really hot, momentum-wise. Steve Austin, Ric Flair, Booker T, Randy Savage. Not really anybody who's not. I usually do a pretty good job of trying to, I don't want to say 50-50 booking, but I usually try to do a pretty good job of making sure that people aren't getting like completely squashed. I mean, we have some people that have like chilly and cold momentum, but there are people who are lower enough on there that's like, you're not really going to see them struggling with a lack of momentum too much at this point. And then hidden gems. The game is suggesting us to go out and get these 5. Bill DeMott. Not really looking to get Bill DeMott. Bubba Ray Dudley. I've got the Dudleys on a short list right now. Kind of debating. I kind of have it set up relationship-wise in the game where we don't try to steal anybody from WCW or from ECW. I mean, but we'll have to see. Maybe I'll try to it in the future. El Bronco number 1. Gotta be honest, I have no idea who that is. Don Callis. Don Callis is set as a wrestler still at this point, which for those who didn't know, he actually was a wrestler before he went to WWF and joined the Truth Commission, all that stuff. I've thought about bringing him in as a manager, but I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. And then Ice Train, I don't know, maybe. He didn't have very great success in real life WCW, but maybe I could potentially turn that around. He's kind of one of those, he's 30 years old, so he's one of those that if I wanted to, I could keep an eye on him, and then if I wanted to, I could bring him in to kind of replace some of my older, lower card talents to, kind of come around and put on decent matches without being pushed to the moon, I guess, so to speak. So we'll consider it. We'll consider it with him as well. But that shall potentially do it for us. Actually, we'll look at one more thing real quick. Now, of course, this won't have everything on here, as I mentioned before, but this is how we're looking so far in the 2 months that we started the save, or that we transferred the save over, that is. Nitro, we had Nitro in December there with a 95 rating, was our best show so far. Top 100 matches. Best match we've had so far is Steven Regal and Vader defeating Eddie Guerrero and Sting. It beat out Flair and Wyndham from last month, or from 2 months ago, I guess, really. As well as some of the other matches as well. Top attendances and top pay-per-view buy rates, TV viewership, all of that. You'll notice that there was a Clash of Champions that I ran in November. I did that strictly because I have which surprisingly enough got an 86 rating. I did that strictly because I had pay-per-view deal. I had another pay-per-view deal at the time that if I didn't run a show then it would have caused another legal issue. So I ran that. It was literally just here's random matches thrown together, and surprisingly did really well. But here's random matches thrown together. All the champions retained. And there wasn't really anything story-wise to note in it. So there was that. It was more of like a glorified house show, I guess, if you will. But that is going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you really want me to grab the data from the previous 10 months from the other save over and try to get a little bit more defined idea of, match rating wise, stuff over the year and all that. Let me know. Otherwise, we will see you next week for the first Nitro of 1997.